Once again, thank you for showing up, lending me your concentration and your attention. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And one of these days we'll be able to have an actual conversation, maybe you and I, about these things. So thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. I wanted to share something that I heard and that I effectively learned, I suppose. My studies have brought me to a man named Mahatria. Mahatria, I believe. He's an Eastern Asian philosopher. He's kind of like a Sadhguru, but not. Obviously, he's his own man, so I don't want to offend him by directly comparing him to another human just because of their race and things. But his name is Mahatria, and he said that 1/8 of ourselves, our brains, operates out of the conscious space, and so the other 7/8 operates unconsciously, right? And regardless of what the fractions are or the ratios are between conscious to unconscious, the overall point I think he was trying to get us to understand was more of your attention, not attention's the wrong word, more of your thinking is done in your subconscious mind than it is from your conscious mind. More of it is done without you even knowing than doing stuff that you know you're doing. Which is true. True for all humans. It doesn't matter what age you are. He also said that the emotions we have, the deeper the emotion, the more it's going to impact us, right? And those deep emotions get stored in our subconscious. And then he said, and this kind of confuses me, I'm definitely wanting to have a conversation about this with somebody at some point. And then he said, inherently, our negative emotions are the ones that are the deeper emotions, and our positive emotions are not. And I thought, that's kind of odd. Why would our beings, our spiritual beings, our human minds, why would they prefer, essentially, by saying inherently, you're preferring, why would they prefer to focus on the negative emotions? It just makes no sense to me. And I'm struggling with this still, so I don't have a fully formed concept as to why that would be. And so I asked a couple people, and one of the things that felt true, first I thought of, I know that our lizard brain, as it's been called in some circles, our lizard brain just wants to keep us safe, right? And that's why we don't take risks. That's why we play it small, and that's a very, very old habit that our brain has. Back when we had to, run from saber-toothed tigers, as they say, right? It keeps us safe. So it keeps us from doing the things that are gonna grow ourselves and learn and all that kind of stuff, right? So that was my initial idea, that our brain wants to keep us safe, so it gives us more emphasis on the negative emotions so that it keeps us at this baseline level at all times. But that also didn't really make sense to me. It was just a quick theory I had. And I asked a friend of mine, and she said she thinks and partially believes that it is due to the conditioning that we have gone through in our lives, the conditioning from our society. And just as an example, using children as an example and ourselves when we were kids, we were very much conditioned by our environment, right? We were dependent on learning things from the grown-ups and the authority figures, and those authority figures were school and our parents and aunts, uncles, and things like that. And we could get into those types of generations back then that have influenced us at that point in our lives, but I don't want to get too deep into it. But essentially, going back to the example of kids, essentially when we're kids, I'm going to use a quick example, so this is not all encompassing, of course. When we're kids, we go to school, we get grades. Our grades, let's say we get a bad grade. And I don't know about you, but me, when I came home and I had a bad grade, for some reason, it overshadowed my good grades. Not all the time. But there's just an overall tendency for those bad grades to be focused on more than the good grades. So then we associate more depth of emotion to those negative emotions. The bad grade, mom yelling at us, teacher telling us that we did bad and we got to redo a test, right? And all those cuts are a lot deeper than the reinforcement of the good grades. Again, this is just an example. There's probably some other things, of course, and there's probably a whole nother reason why, negative emotions are inherently deeper. And so that's kind of how she was explaining it to me, that we have been conditioned by our past, and a lot of that conditioning has been more or less focused on the negative things because we want to fix the negative things. But we go about fixing them in the wrong ways, the wrong reasons to fix those, right? And we shake our kids, be like, "Why are you so stupid?" Or we say something like that. We're all free from that, but like, "I can't believe you got this bad grade, blah blah blah," and then we don't even talk about the good grade they got in the art class. So that's what was puzzling me about what he said about negative emotions being the inherently deeper emotion. So then his solution, which is a good solution, and he said that the next time something negative happens to you, and let's say that, again, going back to the kid, let's say you're in college and you get a bad grade, only allow yourself one sentence to describe that feeling, or a couple words, right? But if something positive happens, something good, and you write 5 sentences, and writing could be taking a note in your phone, it could be writing in your journal that night, or it could be writing an email to somebody, who knows, right? However you need to capture it. And I think the point is to give yourself more time to focus on the positive reinforcement than the negative. Essentially you're still giving the negative emotions their time, just, so you want to sit with those, of course, so you understand where they're coming from, which is a whole nother conversation. But let that go after that one sentence. Be like, okay, that's it. And then the 5 sentences obviously is going to deepen the positive emotions rather than the negative, right? So then the negative emotions become shallow and the positive emotions become deep, right? So then you're flipping it upside down, which is a good thing, right? And it doesn't have to be writing. It could be a conversation. You could call your friend, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, whatever. Just give the positive emotions more time. So that's all I wanted to share. I obviously don't have this all figured out, nor do I claim to have it figured out, nor do I, necessarily need to have it figured out. I would like to have some sort of, hypothesis around it other than the 2 that I gave you, but I don't know, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to me. So hopefully that helped you. Hopefully that brought some awareness to how you are feeling in certain times of your day and week and month and school year or whatever it is, so that you can better approach those negative and positive emotions and use them for good, you know, to understand why these things come up for you. So, all right, well, that's all I wanted to share, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in.